Do we know, Bill? Oh, okay. We're in progress now. Okay.
Okay, well, I think that we'll start to get started here, and hopefully more people will start to trickle in. But like I said, either way, I'm really excited for this discussion. So thank you everybody for joining the Sociology Club and the department faculty and staff here tonight. My name is Deidre Hubey. I'm a political science and sociology double major and a peace, justice, and conflict resolution minor, which is a program that you'll hear more about later tonight. I am currently, among other things, the Sociology Club's president. The Sociology Club has been around for a few years, but has really started to take off in recent months as we search for ways to help our members get through the difficult and ever-changing times of COVID-19. To give an idea of some of the things we've done, we did an incredibly successful and moving panel in March surrounding the restorative justice and reentry that featured perspectives from formerly and currently incarcerated citizens, academics, and victim advocates who offered an alternative to the retributive criminal justice system that we're used to. In case you missed that, I'll be sure to drop the video link into the chat here. Aside from our bi-weekly meetings and our documentary discussions, this will be one of our last major events for the semester. However, next semester, we will be holding a cross-disciplinary social problems and policy research symposium in an effort to showcase intersectional cross-disciplinary solutions to intersectional issues. So if you've worked on a project, a paper, or a study in one of your classes this semester, you might want to consider beefing it up for a presentation in the fall, which you can then piggyback off again for a presentation in the spring at the Undergraduate Research and Scholarship Symposium. Monetary prizes will be available for both of those. If you're not already a member of the Sociology Club, I encourage you to join us as we have a lot of really cool things in the works. If you're interested in joining, you can drop your email into the chat or you can reach out to me. I'll be sure to put my contact information into the chat as well. You can also join through Campus Link, which is a great way to stay connected, not just to the Sociology Club, but to the campus. Now to turn our discussion to tonight's event, which will feature 30 minutes of panel discussion, followed by 30 minutes of an informal Q&A. Once that ends at 7 p.m., the panelists will be able to drop off and the students can discuss on our own. So I'll start by introducing our panelists, the Duquesne department faculty and staff. On the panel, we have Sherry Cunningham, the department's administrative assistant, who's been with us for over 20 plus years and keeps things running smoothly. We have Dr. Matthew Schneirov, who currently serves as the department chair and specializes in cultural sociology, health movements, and social history of the media. Dr. Irwin is the director of the Applied Sociology Master's Program, specializes in socio-spatial urban and community studies, demography, and social ecology. Dr. Sarah McMillan is the director of the Peace, Justice, and Conflict Resolution minor. She specializes in social theory and social psychology. Dr. Kathleen Appelt, she's actually the faculty advisor of the Sociology Club and the Big Idea Team, which is an intergenerational community engaged work group of the Eleanor Benu Think Tank for Restorative Justice. She specializes in research methodologies, both qualitative and quantitative, and inequities in health and healthcare. Dr. Anne Marie Pop, who specializes in gender, victimization, and criminal justice. And last but certainly not least, we have Dr. Anita Zuberi, whose specialization lies at the intersection of urban poverty, racial inequality, and social policy. Before we kick off the panel, I do want to say a few quick words about Dr. Conti, who couldn't be here with us tonight. He too is a professor in the sociology department, an endowed chair and a coordinator of the Duquesne Social Justice Association, and specializes in police socialization. He also co-founded the Eleanor Benu Think Tank for Restorative Justice, which happens every Friday morning at 8:30. Everyone is invited to join that. If they're interested, I'll be sure to put that in the chat as well. So now we'll turn to the panelists to kick off the discussion. Anyone feel free to jump in on these start off questions. What is sociology?
You stumped us. No, well, I'll just start off. That's a big question, but it can be answered, I think, fairly quickly. It explores the social nature of all of us and how we relate to groups and institutions and global processes, things like capitalism and the state and that kind of thing. Increasingly important today with all of the problems that we face. We need people to study these things and figure out solutions.
Thank you, Dr. Schneiroff. Go ahead, Dr. Pop.
So I was going to add to Dr. Schneiroff's comments that I'd like to think of it as also the application of scientific techniques to understand our social world. That, you know, it's more than just common sense and looking around the community, that we're really thinking theoretically and empirically when we look at the social world. And so we're gathering scientific data, I guess, to try to understand those social problems, which is why we're so valuable in the coming period of time.
Absolutely. And both of you really led me into my next question right there, which is, why is sociology important and how can it contribute to a more equitable and just society? And in that, I was hoping you could touch on what the sociological imagination is.
Well, I think sort of the classic statement on that is by Mills, and although he's got some nuances to it, basically he's saying the sociological imagination is the ability to think in larger context. It is thinking of ourselves not just as individuals, but as parts of a larger social system in all sorts of very complex ways. And an awful lot of what we do in sociology sort of picks up where psychology leaves off. The focus is not specifically on just an individual, as it is oftentimes in sociology, but always in relationship to other individuals, and as Matt said, to other parts of the social system. And that really is part of the sociological imagination.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is that it's really how people are affected by things that might be bigger than ourselves, and how we can be influenced by other factors outside of our own selves. So to move on into our more pointed questions about the department, and in order to learn more about the opportunities the department specifically has to offer, I'll turn to, I think with Dr. Schneiroff might be able to help with some of the beginning questions. What kinds of opportunities exist for students who have a particular area of interest or want more hands-on experience? Something like internships for academic credit or directed readings.
Well, I'm a little biased, but I think we have a great department. And for students that want to do research and want hands-on experiences with various things, and who want to do work that is in line with the mission and current focus of the university, there is no better department. We've had folks doing, you can find out more information on our website, but we've had students doing internships and field work with Allegheny County Children and Youth Services, the Housing Authority of the City of Pittsburgh, Homestead Senior Care, the Allegheny County Department of Human Services, just to name a few. Students that are interested in doing field work can come up with their own project and find an interested faculty member to help, or they can ask for advice about opportunities and things that they can do, and any of us would be more than welcome. There are other things we're doing too, but I don't want to monopolize the discussion here. So anybody else, a lot of other things going on too, community engaged, teaching and research, research in health, on poverty, on the environment, study abroad opportunities. Other folks can kind of fill in the details there.
Thank you for kicking that off, Dr. Schneiroff. I think that leads us right into a part that Sherry can speak on about major advisors and major mentors and departmental advisors and academic advisors.
Okay, well, I can't speak today. The academic advisors can guide you through your general studies, the Bridges courses, those sorts of things. But within the department, you have a departmental mentor, and you can work with that person. And they're just exactly that, a mentor. They can help you clarify what directions you want to take in your studies, what minors and concentrations will complement those studies. They can help you explore options, set, and ultimately achieve your goals.
Thank you, Sherry. And Dr. Schneider, when you had mentioned stuff about community engaged teaching and some other ways you could find interested faculty and staff in an area of study, I actually was able to do that myself. I did a directed readings class with Dr. McMillan. Maybe she can speak a little bit about what directed readings are and how that might fit into this.
Sure. I've directed a couple of both independent studies and directed readings, both attached to internship, one attached to internship and one more academically specific. And I think what that helps the student to do is take a topic and look at it from almost like a sort of apprentice or graduate student like experience, where you do a really deep level of research, kind of both a survey, but then a kind of really pointed and specific search of literature that's specific to the topic. And I've done a wide range of topics within the department, and also now with Dee's PJCR, Peace, Justice, Conflict Res, cross list. So one thing I'll say about sociology is that it's a very wide ranging methodological and topical discipline. So it's not hard to kind of find something you like within sociology. And if you study everything about the social world, you can really do anything in the world, I think, whether it's in a sort of clinical social work practice and or a sort of policy level practice or an academic practice. I think one of the great tools about sociology is that it's really wide ranging, and the directed reading can help us take that wide question and kind of focus it into a specific bibliography or even kind of field work that might go along with it. So.
Absolutely. I think it's fair to say that sociology is one of the most versatile degrees that you can have. You really can study things and find out what you like and then go down the path in sociology on that. If you can't tell, I'm a little biased too. I love the department and I love the discipline. And with that being said, I also had the opportunity to be a teacher's assistant with Dr. Pelt last semester. Dr. A, could you tell us a little bit about teacher's assistant opportunities and what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something we've been doing through the college. So we have a college program in the College of Liberal Arts here at Duquesne, and there are a series of courses that you can take through that. And the one for teaching assistant is called CLPR 310. And what this is designed to be is a learning experience. It's not a job. Okay? There's no pay. Students receive course credit, but it's actually about learning, and it's about learning about education. It's about learning about, well, whatever it is that you might want to. So I've actually sort of led a variety of creative approaches to this over the past several semesters. So last semester, I worked with Deidre on one of these, and she's really interested and been doing a lot of self-study in project management and in leadership. So I had a couple of survey courses that were doing student projects, and Dee became like a near peer leader and mentor to the group projects. And she came up with some great ways to kind of coach the students to have a successful project from the beginning. And they filled out worksheets and forms, answered questions to make sure they got to know each other and could prioritize their tasks and figure out how to best collaborate with one another. And she also did some troubleshooting, which was super cool. And this semester, I'm doing the same thing with Colum, but he wasn't so interested in project management as he was in just sort of organizational things and trying to figure out how to use different technologies to organize different tasks. So we've been working on using Excel spreadsheets, for example, for various types of record keeping and moving things around. And then also he and a buddy of his just started a tech company, and that's what he's running off to do after he graduates in a matter of weeks, hard to believe. And so one of the things that he's been working on is providing technological support for the students in online learning who are using applications through our new Dove system on campus.
Thank you so much, Dr. Appel. I also put the link to the really awesome project that Colm is working on in the chat if anyone is interested. It's always good to support our fellow students and people at Duquesne. So before we move on from that question, it was again, what kind of opportunities exist for students who have a particular area of interest or want more hands-on experience? Is there anything else that we didn't cover that any of the panelists think should be added into this?
I'm sure I can add just a little bit more on the internships that Matt brought up and independent studies. So a little bit different from directed readings, but very similar as well, where I worked with a student who was doing an internship at the Housing Authority of the City of Pittsburgh over the summer, and we would meet regularly throughout the summer, and I would give her some readings to do and some reflections to write. And I think that's a cool experience as a student because it gets you to go beyond simply attending an internship and being able to embed it within some bit of the literature and the research, and you get to understand kind of the context within which you're working, and you're able to learn a little bit more deeply about that subject. So that's just one thing to add as well.
Thank you, Dr. Zuberi. That was valuable to add in there. And actually, one more thing, Sherry, you might be able to speak on this part. Is there any scholarships that are available in the department, or how might people be able to find them if they were looking for them?
Well, the department every year gives awards to outstanding students, the GET Scholarship. And over the last 20 odd years, we have awarded over $375,000 to 40 majors. That information is available on the website. We also have several resource funds, which you don't apply for. You do apply for the GET. The resource funds are departmental awarded. And one of the things I was going to talk about further on, but I'll just go ahead and jump in with this now, is the importance of declaring your major. A lot of times you come into school, you matriculate, they say, what's your major going to be? You say sociology, and you think you're done. But there's another really important step, which is declaring your major within the liberal arts through Dory. And that's important for a couple of reasons. One, the GET Scholarship is only available to sociology majors, as are the resource funds. So it's important for us to know that you're out there and that you are a major, so you can be considered for those things.
Thank you, Sherry. That was really awesome. I had just learned about the GET Scholarship myself this semester, so I'm glad that other people are learning about it now, especially early on. I'm going to move on to our next question, unless there's anything else the panelists would like to add to that. Our next question is, what kinds of programs and specializations are there through the sociology department? And here I was hoping to talk about with Dr. Irwin, who is the director for the Master's in Applied Sociology program, a little bit from Dr. McMillan about the PJCR minor, and then whoever would like to take it about the different specializations just within the major of sociology, being general, criminal justice, and social justice and policy. I'll turn to Dr. Irwin first.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we're really excited about this. We have been working for some years to reinfuse the master's program that we once had. And what we've done is we used to do a social and public policy program with political science. This is now situated entirely within sociology. And the emphasis is on applied and public sociology. It's both a practical orientation as well as an idea coming out of the public sociology approach to say, research in service of society, doing things that is helpful for not just our academic interests, but for the community and the practitioners working in this. So what we've done is we've designed a 30 credit program that for a master's that really covers, let me see, I should have got this here, yeah. 3, basic concentrations, one in community and social justice, one in health and gerontology, and one in criminal justice and society. And those are things that are all strengths of our department. So we all have faculty to handle that. Then we've got a pretty good core of methodology courses, which in the practical world is oftentimes the most important thing that you have to put on your resume. Being able to do some of these things, both qualitative and quantitative research, and you'll learn, more in depth from all the expertise that you have in this department about how to do that. Yeah, so it really is designed to get you through in 2 years, 30 credits. It's also and I know Dee is on the track for this. There is a college program that we are working with, which is a 4-1 program. You do 4 years as an undergraduate, but in your last year as junior and senior, we're making sure that you're also taking graduate level courses. And basically, this gives you the opportunity to just do 1 year at the master's level and finish up with an MA. Now, I need to be clear about this is we're under restrictions for middle states and other things to not double count too many things. So you have to have completed 120 credits at the undergraduate level that are unique from the credits you end up taking at the graduate level, okay, which would be 30 in our case. However, lots of you guys end up taking more credits than 130 or 120, sorry. So as long as we're making sure that we're working with you in your junior and senior years to take some of our 500 level courses, then those can be applied towards the master's degree. And as long as it's a distinct set of 30 credits, even if they were earned in your junior or senior year, it'll count towards the MA. And as long as you've got 120 covered at the undergraduate, that will work. Okay. So it's a little bit more effort, but oftentimes our students are already on that track in one way or another. Right? We also have a certificate program at 15 credits, which is basically either a 1-year program of postdoc, post-baccalaureate work, or a part-time option that people can participate in. And you end up with certification primarily saying you've got the methods and basic theories down for graduate sociology.
Thank you, Dr. Irwin. And as you mentioned, I am a part of the 4-1 program. So basically, I'll be able to get my bachelor's and my master's in 5 years, as long as I, do everything right. Like he said, a little bit extra effort, but in my opinion, worth it. So thank you for that, Dr. Irwin. I can't overstate how much, again, I love the department and the opportunities. So I encourage other people to take advantage of that. Dr. McMillan, I am a minor in the Peace, Justice, and Conflict Resolution program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So the PJCR, or Peace, Justice, and Conflict Resolution minor program, it doesn't have a major attached to it, but it's sort of a floating minor in the liberal arts college that uses courses cross-listed with sociology department, like I believe Intro to Criminal Justice is cross-listed, as is social problems, and Intro to Peace and Justice, obviously. Also, I think social stratification is cross-listed, and I believe Dr. Irwin's populations or demography. What is the title of?
Population. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of crossover with our department. There are other classes in, say, the psychology department and theology department and history departments and political science departments. The thing about peace, justice, and conflict res is it's naturally interdisciplinary. And I like that. I like being interdisciplinary and in the realm of peace and justice. And it's sort of inspired by one of the famous phrases of Pope Paul VI, that if you want peace, work for justice. And the whole framework for this comes out of a concept known as positive peace that I think really kind of nods to sociology in a valuable way, because sometimes from the international relations perspective or the political science perspective, not to pick any fights, but they don't look at the whole system of the society as creating justice, which starts at the ground level, not necessarily at the diplomatic level. So if you think like a sociologist, you will think like a peace studies person. I'll just put it out that way. If you want information about specific credits and the requirements, I will post the link to the PJCR website in the chat, unless somebody posted something. Okay, yeah, I will do that in just a moment when I stop talking. But I just want to thank Dee for her energy and bringing us all together here.
Thanks, Dr. Mack. I did put it in the chat, but you can check the link and make sure I use the right
Thank
one.
you.
So in my next part of this, the major in sociology, there's just the general sociology major, and then there's the criminal justice and social justice and policy. Perhaps Dr. Pop could talk to us about the criminal justice specialization.
Unlike many other universities and colleges, we don't offer a cop shop program. So this is not these are not going to be classes on how to handcuff or fingerprint or do any DNA work. So it's much more of a look at the system as a whole, and trying to understand how it operates, why it operates the way it does, where are the challenges, the racial and ethnic biases. And so, we're thinking about students who are interested in going into professional positions after college, going down and working for Secret Service or the Marshals. Everybody says the FBI, the state police, going on to law school and being a lawyer, district attorneys and public defenders. Because we emphasize critical thinking, we emphasize writing skills, public speaking skills, which I'm failing right now. Did I say presentation skills? So it's this idea of being able to compile knowledge and talk about it in a way that's useful for the institutions that our students are going to work in.
Thank you, Dr. Pop.
No problem.
I really appreciate you saying that. I'm still laughing at cop shop. That was good. So for the next part, Dr. Zuberi, do you think that you could talk to us about the social justice and policy section? I know you're teaching social problems and policy in the fall.
Sure. So I am still fairly new here, so I don't know the history of this concentration, but maybe Mike or someone else can help with that. But I do teach social problems, and this concentration among the required courses, it's like the standard set of sociology courses that you would do for the major, plus the social problems, plus credits from courses from a variety of areas, but including a focus on race and ethnic groups, stratification, environmental sociology, the peace and justice piece that we heard about from Dr. McMillan, and then other courses like sociology of the city. I'm going to put a plug to try and get my intro to human services class in here, because that's also part of it, as well as some criminal justice courses. But really, I think this emphasizes, all of sociology, I think, focuses on social justice, but this concentration leans in a little bit more to the policy side of things. So it's preparing students for urban planning, working in jobs in local government, like the local Department of Human Services, or other agencies in human services, as well as in gerontology. Dr. Irwin, do you want to add anything there?
Sure, it was, and Matt, correct me if I'm leaving something out, but in part, it was sort of a cohesive concentration for what we do. But in part, it was the feeder program to our old 4-1 program into social and public policy. And so it becomes also a really good path for the current applied and public sociology track, either 4-1 or just going straight into a master's program. So.
Thank you both for that. And then the general sociology major is really if you just don't have an idea about which place you want to go to and you kind of have a liking and you just want to learn about it, the general one might be for you. I am going to move on to the next question now. And any of the panelists can feel free to jump in here, but can someone tell us a little bit about some of the areas of specialty that we have in the department here in case students have an interest in doing some kind of research? Or some of the stuff or projects, community engaged or otherwise, that are being worked on within the department right now? I think, Dr. A, we haven't heard from you too much. You might be a great one to jump in here.
Sure. So we've just started a new project that's an evaluations research project. It's something that I'm working on with Drs. Irwin and Conti and another professor from the School of Education. So we're going to be evaluating a social services program over at Goodwill of Southwestern Pennsylvania. We're going to be using a lion's share of the funds to provide support to some students in our new MA applied program, as well as some undergraduate students. Will be creating some opportunities for students to learn how to conduct semi-structured interviews.
That's awesome. Thank you, Dr. Appel. Would you mind also telling us a little bit about the Big Idea team and or the EBTT? Because I know Dr. Conti would love to jump in on that if you were here.
Sure, absolutely. And so these things are actually connected. So the Big Idea team was actually born out of a community engaged class that I taught last spring during the infamous first COVID semester. It was a Sociology of Aging course. It was funded through the Collaborative Teaching for the Common Good grant that we received to bring Ms. Terry Baltimore, my community partner, to campus. And so we co-taught the course. We had this awesome community engaged project plan where students were going to be interviewing elders in the Hill District community, and then COVID hit and that was not going to happen. So we moved online. We made COVID the central theme for the course to try to salvage things and keep people engaged. And toward the end of the class, I'd had these three unusual students, returned citizens from the Elsinore Benue Think Tank for Restorative Justice. These three men were two were recently returned and another had been returned for about 12 years. The three men were over 70 years old. So we were practicing a lot of intergenerational communication within the class itself. And when the pandemic hit, one of the men came to me and said he had an idea for a socially distanced community engaged project, which we jumped on. So we provided information to 660 high-rise apartment units in Pittsburgh to elders, providing them with information about the pandemic itself, how to stay safe and healthy, some economic resources, and some tips for thriving during times of restricted freedom and social isolation. And then on the backside of that, the project just sort of kept rolling, and students stayed engaged with the older men from the class, and I stayed engaged, my community partners stayed engaged, and here we are a full year later. Now we meet bi-weekly online. We've applied for a grant, we're applying for another grant, and we're trying to support elders in just about any way that we can. We have a COVID-19 vaccination team that assembles information and disseminates it in the community, another one that assembles and disseminates PPE, and Column is actually the lead on our digital divide team, which is exactly what it sounds like. So that's an ongoing intergenerational co-learning group that's kind of organic, but it's been a lot of fun. Anybody's welcome. Ask me about it if you're interested.
Yes, thank you, Dr. A. Of course, like I said, I'm very biased here. I'm a part of the Big Idea team and the think tank, and I love them both. They mean a lot to me. I've learned so much through those opportunities and being a part of like different generations and hearing from that and different perspectives that I never would have considered before. Again, can't overstate how much I've gotten out of it. So I'd invite anyone to join those two things as well. Is there anyone else in the department that would like to talk about some of the things that they're working on or that students might be able to get involved in with?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. So I'm working on a project with one of our seniors in the department, Timothy Rush, and it's looking at the phenomenon of QAnon from both a historical, sociological analysis, looking at roots of it within American Protestantism, specifically evangelicalism and apocalypticism in American religion, and looking also at content from QAnon sites, or sort of not QAnon sites, but QAnon related media. And Tim has looked at churches that affiliate somewhat with QAnon and looking at some of their texts. So mostly critical textual analysis. I am more of a theorist type and a historical comparative type in terms of my research. So we haven't gotten to the point of kind of coding content analysis, but we're kind of heading towards that for our next presentation, hopefully in the fall. And hopefully, I think not to be too not to leave the value-free orientation, but its presence has diminished somewhat in the world, which is a good thing. But hopefully it won't mean that research is less significant at this point. But it's still fascinating to me from the point of view of sociology of religion and social psychology and critical sociological theory. So would be glad to have more people on board in the future.
Yeah, thanks for jumping in there, Dr. McMillan. And if Timothy was here, I would tell him, pat on the back too. For our last question, before I open it up to all the students for some Q&A, Sherry, as the department secretary, you've helped keep things running smoothly, and you just seem to be like all-knowing when it comes to the happenings and the opportunities. And if you don't know someone who does, if you don't know, you always know somebody who does. So I was just wondering, what are some of the things that you're responsible for? And in your 20 plus years of being here, is there anything that you've learned that you think the students should know or be aware of?
Well, I'm responsible for the day-to-day running of the department, making sure that the faculty have that which they need so they can teach, and that the students have what they need so they can learn. I'm a good place to start when you do have questions, because I may have the answers, and if not, I likely can help you, point you in the right direction to find out who can answer. And if you need to know where the bodies are buried, I put a few of them there too, so I'll be able to help dig them up with the right incentive. What have I learned that would be most valuable for the students? I would say that would be to take advantage of your mentor, to work with them, to pick their brains, to learn from them, and then go on to surpass them.
Thank you, Sherry. I'm really glad that you said that. I too agree that that's one of the most important things that I've learned in my time here. Once I was able to find some mentors within the department, pretty much all of them. Thank you all so much. They really do help guide you and figure out what your area is. And if you want to go to graduate school, even if it's not going to be here at Dr. Irwin's really awesome master's program, you're still going to want somebody to write, letters of recommendation or whatever it might be. So definitely try to find a mentor as soon as you can. And turning to the rest of the faculty now, what advice or guidance do you have for students for their success, both within the university and department and beyond in the field?
I think the one thing that stands out, this is what I told my daughter who's in college now. Even if you're a little nervous about this, when you first come to college, and you start taking some courses, especially in your major, get to know a faculty member, talk to that person during office hours. Breaking the ice may be difficult, but you'll find that it's easier and easier each time you do it. Certainly in our department, you'll find faculty are warm and friendly and would love to talk to you. So that would be the number one recommendation. And then the second thing would be look for opportunities outside the classroom, study abroad. Dr. Irwin does a great trip to Belize. It's studying environmental issues. Little plug there. But there are other study abroad opportunities, as we've discussed, internships, and opportunities like our own Inside Out program with Professor Conti and the learning about the criminal justice system with hands-on experiences. So those things will really supplement your academic experiences.
Yeah, I guess one thing I'd also add to this is not only take advantage of the individuals in the department, but take advantage of the scale that Duquesne operates on. When you find things you're interested in, if you don't find classes that are directly in those things, look, we're approachable. We're happy to work with you. We're happy to work in teams to make that happen. You don't necessarily get that at much larger kinds of universities where people are perhaps a bit more specialized than we are, and certainly a little bit more tracked in terms of what they want their students to do. You've got the ability to sort of move around and explore your interests. And frankly, that's what makes college fun, right? Yeah, going down, finding something you're really interested in, and here at least you can then pursue it more flexibly, and we're happy to help. So.
And to that, I'd add, and I'm a little bit biased here, but I'd say join the sociology club, right? Or other student clubs on campus. So get to know your peers. I mean, you're going to do this sort of naturally in class, right? With group projects and that kind of thing. But get involved in some of the extracurricular activities with your peers here.
Yes, I definitely agree with both of those statements here, both with really with what everybody said there. And we love plugs. So all the stuff that I've been putting in the chat, I'll be sure to send out in an email to everyone after, so they have that as well. In my experience, to what Dr. Irwin said, I personally was in the military, so I had a lot of interest in military sociology, which isn't something that is offered in the department, but I went to Dr. McMillan, Dr. Irwin, and I'm actually presenting research about that in the URSS next week. So they really are flexible, and they do mean it, and they are approachable. And I hope that I seem as approachable as they are. So if you need anything from a student standpoint, please don't hesitate to come to me. I'm happy to help any way that I can. And on that note, unless there's anything else to add, I'd love to open it up to the other students that are on here to ask any questions that they might have that we didn't get to. I wanted to leave it more on the surface level so you guys could ask what you wanted to, and I will open it. So I have some questions. What are some of the what are some of the classes that are going to be offered in the next academic year? Mainly in the fall. I know registration just happened for that, but especially in the spring, we might be able to plan for.
Well, I'll jump in. Every other fall semester, I teach a course called Sociology of Health and Illness, SOCI 207. It's going to be at 10 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, Friday this fall. It's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite courses to teach.
And I'll put in a plug for social movements. That is a very relevant course today. We'll be talking about movements for racial justice in the past and certainly currently with Black Lives Matter and the roots of that movement and what it's about, as well as the counter movements, the reaction to movements for racial justice, nationalist movements across the globe, white nationalism, and what that's about, where it came from, and where we're heading. So really interesting stuff. I'm enthusiastic about it. So I encourage anyone interested to just sign up.
Yeah, let me also sort of give you a pitch for, even if you're not doing like a 4-1 program to go into the master's, Don't forget, we offer a lot of our senior level classes also cross-listed as graduate classes. And those are things that if you go to another program, you can transfer in as graduate credits. This coming semester in the fall, I'm doing population, which is something required for our that helps with our masters. But other programs do that too. And all that really means is you'll be doing much the same coursework as undergraduates, but then we'll add a layer of graduate requirements to it that are oftentimes projects that you'll work on to sort of extend what you're learning in terms of the undergraduate classes. Dr. Conti's got a seminar. Matt, what is his criminal? It's the. Do you remember which seminar it is?
Is it CJ in policy? I think Sherry would know that, maybe.
She'll look it up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the policy course.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I teach social problems and social policy in the fall. I think it's an early afternoon course this fall on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I think it's pretty cool. It changes topics per year based on what's going on and based on what the students are interested in exploring. And so we typically cover things like issues related to the environment, poverty and inequality. We've covered issues of police brutality and racism and mass incarceration, stuff that comes up. And I think it's a pretty fun exploration where you get to look at a topic focused point of view as opposed to doing every single chapter like you would in a more survey level class. And we end with it is a group project, but you get to focus on a social problem in Pittsburgh and learn about how a local organization is addressing it. And so that's kind of a nice foundation actually for thinking about a research project if you're interested in doing that as well.
And I do have the answer. It is correctional policy that Norm Conti is teaching.
Yeah, and those graduate courses count as undergraduate courses too if you need them for credit. So it isn't like you can only take them off to graduate school. So, okay.
I will plug senior seminar for those of you who are majors. We'll spend the semester working on a public sociology project. So the class works on a variety of public safety campaigns, because I was a criminal justice expertise, but that they also do public informational campaigns. And so the seniors think about how to move the stuff that they've been learning into classrooms and turning it into something that is usable for the more, the public and to benefit the community. We also explore the job market and the graduate school options as well. But you do get really good hands-on learning about how to do research and how to turn it into information that's useful to the community as a whole.
I'll sneak in and plug our 200W Classical Sociological Theory, which is a writing intensive class. We get to look at the historical and philosophical roots of sociology, why sociology came to be. It's not that old of a discipline, and sort of looking at the roots and then theoretical branches of the classic three amigos, Marx, Weber, Durkheim, and some other theorists. And I'm also teaching sociology of sex and gender, which is cross-listed with women's studies and gender studies. Everything from looking at workplace inequality, like what the Me Too and other related types of inequality and sexual assault, sexual harassment, and the Me Too movement, which makes this class very significant, to other types of issues, LGBTQIA rights, and that movement to, I don't want to cross over with Matt's class too much, but we will talk about those two things in addition to just sort of everyday life from the perspective of gender theory and feminist theory, queer theory, and other types of perspectives in gender studies. So, and I'm teaching Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I can't remember what times those classes are right at this moment. So
I think I'm signed up for sociology of sex and gender, so I'll see you there, Dr. Mack. I did see, oh, go ahead, Sherry, please jump
I was
in.
going to say, I would point out that the schedule is on the department website.
Yes, and it's also in the sociology newsletter that I was able to get a hold of because of Sherry. So thank you for that, Sherry. And I can send that out again too if anybody wants to get some more resources to the department. I did get a chat. It looks like Alex might have a question if he wants to jump in now.
Hello. So I was just wondering, are there any other majors, minors, or certificates that you would recommend that, or that you've seen students usually combined with this major?
I know that a lot of students that I have in my human services class will combine psychology and sociology. So that's one popular combination that we see.
And political science and sociology have always been popular and give similar kinds of perspectives. And of course, Sherry is the administrative assistant in both, so she can direct you to either program.
All knowing.
Yeah. And I'd also say we've had a fair number of Spanish majors also take sociology. It is sort of the cultural experience of foreign languages in combination with sort of the perspective in sociology on culture and the nature of societies seems to be helpful.
Actually, sorry. I was going to say that that's one of my biggest regrets academically is that I never mastered a second language. That's one of my things. If you're one of my mentees, I say all the time, get fluent in a second language. This is going to be a global society and you need to be able to speak beyond American English or gibberish like me.
Duquesne does make us take four consecutive languages. So, take the opportunity to really try to learn it instead of just getting through those classes, because if you don't use it, you kind of lose it. But I made that mistake in Spanish 1 and I'm paying for it as I go through the Spanish classes. So don't do what I did, but I'm back on track now. And Ethan, did you have a question?
Well, I was just going to say, I'd almost dare to say that sociology is a must now. Because I never had like a lot of experience with the field. I have started to because I'm actually a psych major. Interested in possibly a minor. And I'm still trying to figure out where exactly I want to go. Because I did start off with my psych with pre-med. So I have a nice foundation for the healthcare side of it. But I'm also kind of seeing a lot of sparks fly in my mind when it comes to social policy and social justice. So I think I'm going to look into that. I don't have any questions for anyone. I just have yet to talk with my advisor and explore.
Sorry, Ethan.
Oh.
There was a chat to you actually. Kendall, thank you. She said that she knows the pre-law certificate also shares some credits with the sociology program if you're interested in that as well. And whoever was going to jump in, sorry if I
Yeah, just you probably know this, Ethan, but we have a new minor and certificate in health and human services becoming increasingly popular. It's really open to everyone. You don't have to be a sociology major. And a lot of courses as well in health policy, sociology of health and illness, courses where you'll learn many different things about the sociology of health and illness. So a lot of things I think you would be interested in. But having that, even if you just want to take a a few courses, a certificate could look very good on your transcript.
And the difference between the certificate and the minor is a 3-credit fieldwork
Right.
course.
Are there any other questions for tonight? We are nearing 7 o'clock, but I don't want to cut anybody off.
So I will pull Bill's comment out of the chat. The college has made it easier for us to share credits between majors and minors, up to 6 credits. So that gives you the opportunity, if you're a sociology major, to explore some of our other minors, such as the healthcare one or the criminal justice minor as well.
Thank you very much for saying that, Dr. Pop. I didn't realize that Dr. Cluin had also put into the chat, college policy also allows you, as Dr. Pop said, to share up to 6 credits with a major and a minor. So definitely take advantage of that. As Dr. Pop said, that is a great way to try and experience other credits if you're not quite sure right away. Well, on that note, I'm sorry, go ahead, Dr. Schneiroff. Did you have something to add? Oh.
No, I did. Well, I guess since we're heading toward the end, again, I'd like to thank you, Dee. You've done a great job in organizing this event and a lot of the other sociology club activities. We're all really impressed with the work you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. See everybody, and they're so nice and appreciative. How can you not love the department? But on that note, look at us. We're right on time. I'm very proud of us all for doing that. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming. I will send a follow-up email that has all the links that we threw in the chat with just some general information in case anybody missed it. And this was also recorded, so I'll include that link as well. And if there's anything else that I can do, please feel free to reach out to me, or I'm sure any of the panelists tonight.
Thank you,
Bye,
Dee.
everybody.
Thank you, Dee. Nice to
Thank
see
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Great job again, Dee. You're knocking it out of the park. You make us look so much more effective.
You guys are effective, very effective.
But you're